What's going on, friends? SeanPierceJohnson here, and welcome to part 2 of my demo of the Waza Craft Tube Amp Expander from Boss. Now, if you haven't done so already, I highly recommend that you go watch part 1 of this demo. Yes, there is a lot to the Tube Amp Expander, and it needed 2 different videos for it. So do yourself a favor, click the card in the top right-hand corner of your screen, which you'll be seeing now, and spend some time with that. It'll give you a good idea of what this thing is as a piece of hardware. Because today, in this video, we're going to be focusing solely on the software portion of the TAE. Now, of course, as a piece of hardware, it is absolutely killer. But it's when you hook it up to your computer, start messing around with some of the things that you can edit in the editor software, that the whole world of the Tube Amp Expander opens up. Every single parameter that you can manipulate to create one of your own custom rigs is available to you in that software. I've got it downloaded onto my studio computer, and in this video I'll show you the user interface, all the different adjustments you can make to make your own custom rig sound, and show you how to save one of those presets to the Tube Amp Expander. So let's quit yakking, let's fire up the computer and get this thing going. Alright, we have the TAE hooked up to my studio computer. We are rolling audio, and let's take a look at what the interface of the Tube Amp Expander's editor software looks like. Now, obviously, you can see over here on the left side of the screen, we have all 10 rigs that you're able to save as presets on the TAE via the rig knob. You can change between those settings, or you can just cycle through them here by clicking on them, and you'll see on the screen that as we make selections, sorry for the lag a little bit, I'm running a lot of programs right now, so the computer might be a little slow. You're seeing the settings for microphones and effects change. Now, this is my custom tone, and I'll walk you through some of the things that I was able to do in order to come up with this sound that you hear. Gonna go to the clean tone, add on a little bit of echo. Sounding really nice. So basically, what I have right here is the cab mic simulation portion of the TAE software. And this allows you to select between all these different cab types, from a standard 412, which is kind of similar to a Marshall 412 with some vintage 30s, I believe, or just a standard Boss one. I think it might be a rectifier 412, like a Mesa rectifier cab. The one that I'm currently using is a 412 Friedman style cab, and Friedman uses a combination of vintage 30 speakers as well as Celestion greenbacks in order to get the tone. Couple that with the settings that I have in the Resonance Z and the Presence Z on the reactive load portion of the TAE, and I have something that is thoroughly modern, if I do say so myself. But you can choose from any one of these. Say I wanted to just try out what a 410 Tweed cabinet would sound like here. Or maybe let's plug that up with a rectifier 412. Now the experience and the feel of what you hear will change a little bit if you change up the resonance and the presency. We'll get into that interaction in just a little bit, but I just want to show you some of the variation that you can get out of here. I actually have a lot of fun with the 1x8 mini combo. It's just got this really killer nasally kind of sound that you can, pretty much do whatever you want with. I'll go back to my green and 420 combination. Then you can select the different microphone types. Now, when it came stock, it had the Sennheiser Dynamic 421. It's based on the Sennheiser MD 421. And it sounds good, but it's one of those microphones that not a whole lot of people have access to. It's about a $300 microphone, so I end up going with the 57. I feel like the 57, because it's an easily accessible microphone, it's only about $100 brand new. You've heard classic recordings by just about any significant guitar player recorded with an SM57, you use that. But if you want to go for something like a condenser microphone, say something similar to a Neumann U87, very different kind of sound, but still one that's very cool. And you have this flat setting, which is a very interesting thing. And the reason I say it's interesting is because you actually get like this flat response of the cab, not 100% what I would imagine if you were standing in the room with the cabinet, but it's something fairly close to it. Then, one of the things that I really love about this is your ability to set the distance of the microphone within the virtual recording room. Now, you can do short, you can do medium, you can do long. I have it set on medium. It gives the sound just a little bit more air. The difference in it is going to be very subtle. It'll actually come in when we start talking about room mic. You can adjust the position of the microphone on the speaker. So you can have it centered on the speaker, so it's like right in the middle of the cone. Which to some people might be a little bit abrasive. Personally, I like to use it paired with other microphones, but if I'm doing just 157 on a speaker, I want to move it away from the speaker cone just a little bit and start to get a little bit of the paper. Just kind of softens those harsh edges. Or you can go ahead and go 10 centimeters. Let's hear how that distance sounds. Much more friendly, kind of pleasing tone. And any variation in between, we'll go back to that 3 centimeter. Now the room mic, this is really fun. Now I've chosen anechoic, and anechoic is a fancy term for no echo, no reflections. It's kind of a dry room sound. Now you're hearing a little bit of the reverb that I've dialed in. Let me turn that down on the TAE real quick. Nice and tight, not a whole lot of reflection in there. Then we have the small room setting. You can hear a little bit of flutter in there. And then you can do big room. And you can start to hear that little bit of like flutter and slap that kind of gives you the feeling that you're in a larger space. And this is really where you can start to hear the difference in the distance. Go to long now. Now, when you do the distance, you'll also start to get a little bit of softening as you pull a microphone away from the speaker. The sound is a little less harsh, but you're definitely going to start catching more of the reflections in the room. If I go back to that anechoic, we'll be able to hear them in a bit of a different way. Going to go to long. It's a very interesting effect. So basically, just telling you, you can get a lot of different tones out of this. It is amazing the flexibility that you have inside of this portion of the TAE alone. Now, before that, we have the line EQ. Now you have two different EQs. You can either set a speaker EQ. So on our speaker output on the tube amp expander, we can put an EQ, and then we can have a line out EQ. Right now, this is the setting that I have for the graphic EQ, but you also have a parametric EQ, which you can actually see here on the speaker output. And you can set the low cut of different frequencies, going from as low as 25 to as high as 800. You're not going to want to put a low cut at 800 unless you want to get lo-fi, but it's a very cool sound and cool tool to be able to, further tweak your tone with. Low, mid, highs, and then an overall output level, because you can get a little bit more out of it. But you can see what I've done here is I'm filtering out 31.5, because that's getting into that sub territory where the guitar really doesn't occupy a whole lot of audio space. So in order to clean up the guitar sound a little bit and maintain those lows a little bit, I've brought that down considerably. Now 63 starts to get into the low end territory of where a bass guitar is. I don't want 100% of that. I just want a little bit. So bring that down a little bit, put in the 125. That's the low end area of the guitar. That's where our little bit of thump is going to come into play. Bring down the 250, because the 250 is almost this low mid range that is, to my ears, it's just a little bit too it's a little too muddy. So bringing that down a little bit adds a little bit more clarity. A little bit of 500 to help push that honkiness a little bit, but it's that 2 and that 4K range that really help you get that kind of clickety articulation kind of thing. I'll go ahead and toggle between those two sounds. You can hear how it just tightens things up and cleans it up and makes it just an overall much better sounding guitar tone, in my personal opinion. And then we have our reverb. So this is the reverb sound that I've gone and created. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that back up. Now, I tend to like to keep my reverbs on the subtle side, so that's why I've gone and done a bit of this. But you can set your decay time, the tone of the decay, the density, the pre-delay. It's a very, very, very tweakable reverb. Then we go into the delay, and there's multiple modes of the reverb as well. Halls, rooms, springs, and the plate. I personally like the plate, but that's just me. And we'll create a preset in a little bit with one of those other sounds. So, the delay. Now, I have an analog delay loaded up on here, which I think sounds pretty good. And you'll see that I have the effect level turned down considerably, but I can turn that up just a little bit more to really be able to hear that. Very, very, very nice. You can add modulation to it, adjust your delay time, but if we use the tap tempo on the foot switch, you know, it changes everything up. You can see that change. All in all, good stuff. Now you have a single delay, you have a pan delay, stereo, and an SDE 3000 delay. That could be interesting. Now going to a compressor, we have two different rack style compressors that we can use as post guitar processing. So I don't have anything dialed in on this right now. I've just kind of left it alone because I don't really want compression post guitar, and since I'm using this a lot for demos, I want the sound to be as true as I can possibly make it so that you guys can hear the pedals. Then you have your effects loop, which is just an on and off at this point. We can do that, of course, on the foot switch, which we have been doing. And then we have our input. So now that we've kind of walked through some of the things that you can do, let's go ahead and create ourselves a preset. I'm going to go to this 4x12 rectifier doohickey right here in rig slot 3. And now I'm going to go switch the resonance and presences to the low positions. One of the cool things is on the top of the TAE, it actually has the recommended low resonance and presence Z settings for different types of cabs. So I'm going to go ahead and switch that over, come back, and we'll dive in more to setting this tone. Okay, now I want to start out by checking out the clean tone. Let's go ahead and get let's turn down the reverb for a minute. I just want to hear this thing dry. All right, now let's go to the line EQ. We're gonna turn that off. Don't need to worry about the speaker EQ, so we'll just turn that off for now. So let's go ahead and listen to what this sounds like without any sort of cab selected. There's your dry guitar sound, or at least your unfiltered guitar sound. All right, so we got our 412 rectifier, we got a 421 selected, we have a short mic distance, 1 centimeter from the center of the speaker in an anechoic room. Now, for the purposes of this saving a preset, I'm just gonna leave it in anechoic. I'm gonna short mic distance it, I'm gonna keep it on all these settings, but we'll eventually adjust this. Switch over to the dirty sound, let's see where we start. Let's put it at long. Medium. Now let's see about moving it 5 centimeters away from the center of the speaker. Not crazy about that, so let's check out this condenser 451. How about the 87? And flat. Let's see what this sounds like 10 centimeters. You know, I'm kind of feeling like I think we're going to keep the mic distance at a shorter, or the position short, 2 centimeters, and the mic distance at short. All right, let's just play around with this room mic. I'm gonna go to the small room. Still not crazy about it. Let's keep it with anechoic. I'm gonna turn the gain up on the amp. All the gain, right, Colin? All right, going to the line EQ. Let's turn that on. Parametric, I'm gonna zero out, and this is really cool. When you double click on the parameters that you can adjust, you have a whole keypad, you have a delete, a +10, a -10. It's a very handy thing. I'm gonna go ahead and zero everything out, and let's start messing with it. Kind of like that. I don't really want a high cut, but let's see. If we put it at 12.5. That kind of works because at the end of the day, guitar high frequencies kind of start to roll off around 7 to 8K. So it's not really going to matter that much. All right, low cut. Let's go ahead and filter out some of these subs. And yes, I'm using 10,000 Days Tool riffs to do this because, well, that's really kind of the sound I'm going for. Let's filter out some 250. Let's get extreme with this. Sounding pretty good. It's close to what I want. You know, I kind of like that. It's a little bit different than what I was intending to go for, but I dig it. All right, let's turn up the reverb and let's dial in some reverb. Reverb knob at the TAE is 12 o'clock. Now what's cool here is that you can set the level for the speaker output and the line output. Right now I have my direct level is turned up all the way, which is really kind of what I want, and then the effect level is at 70, so I have this individual blend of things. Right now we have some dampening on the high end, we have a low cut going on, your density, your pre-delay. Let's go ahead and turn up the density a little bit. I don't really feel like I need that much pre-delay, but let's go ahead and turn it back to like 60. And that 2.5 seconds is a little much. Let's just turn it back to 2. Now I kind of like it where it is already, so we're gonna keep it there. Now the delay. Let's take advantage of this SDE 3000 and let's check it out. Turn off and go to the clean, turn on the delay. And I think that's fun. Now we could put on some compression. Again, I'm not gonna do it, but now that I like what I'm gonna do, let's go ahead and save the preset. You just go up here to the top right where it says right. I know that's an odd thing, but it's right. It's the right place to go. And then you go to click right. Now it's gonna ask you the slot that you wanna save it in. I'm just gonna go ahead and save it in slot number 2. And you can name it. So the first one is just SPJ Rig 1. I'm gonna call this SPJ Recto. And then you click right and boom, there you go. Rig number 1, SPJ Rig with that Friedman, and SPJ Recto with that rectifier cab. So really, once you hook this TAE up to a computer, you get this whole host of new editing features. You get this whole new ability to tweak and find the perfect tone for you. You can do stuff on the speaker output. You can do it on the direct output. All in all, just these two components together really create a very refined and cool product that is perfect for the avid tone chaser like myself. And there you have it, my friends. That is everything that I think you're gonna need to know in order to decide whether or not the Waza Tube amp expander is something you wanna add to your rig and your arsenal. Speaking on a personal level, this has been an absolute game changer piece of equipment for me since I got it in the studio. Pretty much as soon as it arrived, I was able to plug it in and get a good sound. And within a few days, I had that custom setting for a speaker simulator that felt like it worked for me as a player. The level of tweakability that you have right now at this present moment, because I do anticipate Boss releasing firmware and software updates for the Tube amp expander and for the editor, is pretty great right now. There's not a whole lot that I would fix about it. One little thing that I do want to say though is that I do wish that the mono output on the back did have its own internal level control or some way to set the amount of signal you send out of that output. Right now it's at a fixed level, so it's kind of like you're not really getting the best you're not really able to gain stage that output as much. So that's one thing I would change. But 9 times out of 10, if I'm running mono, I'll just run out of the left side of the tube amp expander, use the line out to send an appropriate level, and boom, we're good to go. I love the level of flexibility and tweakability that the EQ, compression, and the effects afford me. It really helps me dial in things how I want them to sound. And when it comes to shooting videos, I've just been using reverb from the tube amp expander, echo from the tube amp expander, and that EQ post amplifier makes things sound really great. Boss really did their homework with this one. They didn't want to release a reactionary product. That's a reason why from the announcement of the product to its release was a good chunk of time. It was like, hey, here's the concept, we're working on it, we're developing it, it's gonna take a little while to refine, and then finally once it came out, it was everything that I hoped it would be. So I am very, very happy indeed. A big thanks to Boss and Aaron for helping arrange this and getting this into the studio. I'm having an absolute blast with it, and I don't wanna send it back to you. I'm sorry, I don't. I'm gonna find a way to make sure that I get to hang on this for a very long time. And I hope you all enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. This piece of equipment is an absolute pleasure every single time I plug into it. You can let me know your feedback, positive or negative, in the comments section below. And please, when you see it, do click the subscribe button, turn on some notifications, and come back for another demo video very, very soon. But if you'd like to see that video before anyone else in the world, as well as get some exclusive content, please consider becoming a patron and joining my Patreon page today. Until next time, my friends, I'm SeanPierceJohnson, wishing you all out there great tone and happy stomping. Cheers.